Alright guys, let's talk some absolutely insane, monstrous champs that you can build on a budget into CHIMERA. Now, a lot of you guys were asking as well about rare champions that you could bring into CHIMERA, and while this video is going to be focused on epic damage dealers on a budget for the most part, rare champions? That's kind of tough going, man. CHIMERA is quite advanced content. You're really going to get that far into CHIMERA just using rare champs? Not really, in my view. I'd be very, very shocked if there was like an all-rare champion team that you could use to really be blasting into like hard or brutal difficulty CHIMERA. But just for getting started, a champ that you could look to potentially build out if you're in like the earliest months of your raid account is Spymaster. This is a very, very accessible rare champ. Force affinity, so not too hard to collect, and he brings a block buffs debuff for 2 turns on his A2. It's not 100% land rate, even fully booked. It's only 60%, but you know what? This debuff is so important to bring into CHIMERA, so valuable to bring into CHIMERA that, yeah, I think that Spymaster is worth a mention. And additionally, he brings a counter attack on his A3, which is good because his A1, you want him using this as much as you can anyway, has a 60% chance booked of decreasing the duration of 2 random buffs on the target by 1 turn, which is pretty good, right? It's not quite a block buffs debuff. It's not super reliable on his A2, but at least he has this as well to help control the boss's buffs. So Spymaster is definitely worth a shout. As for the Void rare category, I guess Reliquary Tender could be one that you bring as well. She brings a revive, which is great, and she brings a continuous heal and a remove all debuffs from all allies on a 3-turn cooldown on a A2, which is just, again, fantastic stuff. You want to be controlling the flow of buffs and debuffs across yourself and the boss as much as possible. Reliquary Tender is going to do a great job at that. Also, the Viper form of the CHIMERA is going to try and steal all of your buffs. However, continuous heal cannot be stolen by the Viper head for whatever reason. It's just an exception to the rule. Continuous heal, therefore, is quite a valuable buff to bring to the squad. But now getting onto the epic damage dealers. Dude, we can't have a video like this without talking about Royal Guard. This guy's great everywhere. It's one of those sort of like fantastic must-build epic champs for most people's accounts, especially if you are free to play. Royal Guard's insane. Decreased defense on his A1, which is great. Attacks all enemies, deals damage according to enemy max HP on his A2, so hits real hard indeed against bosses. Very nice into Hydra as well. Multiple other bosses in the game, to be fair. But yeah, will also be great into CHIMERA. And most crucially, most importantly, he brings the extra bit of source with his A3, landing that decrease speed debuff strong version right on a quadruple hitter on his A3. It's on a 4-turn cooldown. Not completely ideal to have it this long, but it's fine. It's fine. Decreased speed debuff is so valuable into CHIMERA that you might just want to run the Royal Guard anyway, just for that. And that's what we're really looking for here, man. It's not enough to just build a good damage dealer into CHIMERA. You want them to bring extra tools to the table, right? Ideally some kind of, block buffs debuff or buff steal, or the decreased speed debuff like we saw, you know? And the champion that certainly does all of that and more is, of course, going to be Geomancer. This is just an HP burner style champ. Places HP burn, I believe, on his A3. Also places weaken as well on this A3, so just great damage dealer buffs overall. And then on his passive, he's reflecting all kinds of damage, which deals additional damage equivalent to 3% of the target's max HP, which just makes him an insane damage dealer into bosses. Just keep him alive. Make sure he has enough accuracy to be landing the weaken and the HP burn, and you're going to have a great time with Geomancer. In addition, though, the extra source that you're getting with Geomancer, as if the weaken, and burn wasn't enough. On the A2, he also has a remove all buffs from the target enemy, then attacks them. However, steals all buffs instead if the target is under HP burn debuff placed by this champion, which is great, right? It means that, again, he can be used as another one of those sort of buff control units to have on your team. So Geomancer is really checking a lot of boxes. Very good epic champion, but that's kind of a secret to nobody, right? Next up, and I don't even give a damn, man, I love this champion, and I'm gonna go ahead and include Ruella, man. I'm using this champion on my free-to-play account into my CHIMERA runs. I'm using it to progress in Fire Knight, in Spider. I just love this champ, man. I think that she's great. I think that she's an unsung hero. Now, she brings a triple hitter A1, which on its own doesn't do a whole lot into the CHIMERA boss, of course, but if you eventually build her up, to progress in other areas of the game and farm her masteries, now you've got yourself the Giant Slayer mastery, where she has a chance on hit to be dealing percentage health damage to the boss, and so this A3 is actually doing quite a lot of work as a triple hitter. She also brings a triple hitter on the A2 as well, so multiple triple hitter skills, and yeah, each hit has a chance of placing decreased defense weaken, and decrease speed for a couple of turns. On my free-to-play account, I don't even have a decrease speed debuffer on the entire account, apart from the very unreliable decrease speed debuff coming in from Haikatoon. So having Ruella built up on the account, yeah, she's helped me progress into multiple areas of the game, and I am making use of this decrease speed debuff into CHIMERA. And of course, all of the other debuffs just drastically increasing my team's damage, also just checking a lot of boxes as well, man. So she's fine. She's a fine champion to have. Is she the best in the world? Not really into CHIMERA, I mean. But you know what, man? If you're on a budget and you're building her anyway to progress in other areas of the game, she can be pretty useful for progressing into CHIMERA as well. Now, another champ heading back up onto the elves. We've got a lot of elves in this video, man. Where is he? Where is he? It's good old Neldor, boys. Because of course it is. Now, Neldor, I mean, he's been really good as a champ for just like controlling waves and stuff in the past, right? On his A3, we'll just cut straight to the chase. Attack all enemies 2 times. Each hit has a chance of placing decreased speed, which is great. Bit of self-healing on this skill as well. But the decreased speed debuff, again, it's integral that at least one champion in your roster has this decreased speed debuff and is able to get it up quite consistently. So that's great against wave content, great against CHIMERA. And on the A1, it's a triple hitter. Each hit has a chance of placing freeze debuff for 1 turn. And so because he's placing freeze debuff on a multi-hitter, yeah, Neldor was kind of mostly used as a progression champion into hard mode Fire Knight, where that freeze debuff is so important, and he would help you get through the waves as well. That was kind of his job, but now he has multiple jobs, man. Now we can also help out into CHIMERA as well with the decreased speed, and the triple hitter is just fine. Additionally, he has a quadruple hitter on his A2. The first and second hits have chance to place decrease attack, and the third and fourth can place decrease accuracy. Decrease attack in particular, great to maintain against CHIMERA as well if you can. It's very, very much a nice to have. A lot of big AoE hits coming out from the boss, and so just like Demon Lord Clan boss, I guess, in that sense, the decreased attack is going to help your squishier NUKERS and stuff stay alive for longer. So Neldor Rimeblade, rather. If you're looking to build this guy out anyway, for like future use in hard mode Fire Knight, if you're maybe on like stage 20 Fire Knight or something and you're thinking about building him out in the future, you might want to expedite those plans a little bit and just build him now for use in CHIMERA. Again, if you are needing a good, just single target decrease speed damage dealer. And before we get to the last picks as well, I do want to, actually not the last picks, we've got like 5 more champions still to cover, but before we get to these, I do kind of want to stress, like, if you're struggling to progress in CHIMERA, don't sweat it too hard, man. Don't sweat it too hard. I would say that it feels to me like getting your Demon Lord Clan boss team set up first and foremost is like the most important thing you could be doing on your account if you're in the super early game and you're still struggling with CHIMERA. Focus on other areas of the game first, man. Don't sweat CHIMERA too. Honestly, the progression in CHIMERA will come. It will come just fine as long as you're just building out a good variation of champs across your account and stuff. I wouldn't sweat about it too hard, man. It's a really fun piece of content, and it's a shame to see some people getting upset and getting hung up that they're not able to get the chess levels that they want, or they're stuck in a certain difficulty and they can't push, and they feel like they're really struggling into the game mode. From the likes of Demon Lord and from Hydra, the rewards that you're getting from those weekly chests are frankly crazy as hell, and for the early game in particular, for the shards that you're getting from Demon Lord, they're so much better than the rewards that you get from CHIMERA, in my opinion, in the early game, right? So yeah, I don't know, man. Just don't sweat it too hard, man. Be patient with your shards. Wait for 2x events for your ancient shards in particular and for your sacreds. And just see if you can find any of these champions and the champions that we covered in the video that we put up a few days ago covering top tier supports to bring into CHIMERA, man. Fenax is another one of these champs that you can look out for. You might have seen already on his A2. He brings a 80% land rate, I guess, when fully booked up, block buffs debuff for a couple of turns, and a block active skills debuff for 1 turn if this skill fails to place the block buffs debuff. So yeah, I mean, you need both of these. Block active skills is great to bring to the table as well, and so the A2 utility that you're getting from the Fenax is very nice. On his A3, it's a 4-turn cooldown, chance of placing decreased defense and decreased speed debuff for a couple of turns, so checking a couple of boxes there as well. And of course, Fenax's A1 just hits very hard. It's an attack 1 enemy, place an extra hit if the target has any debuffs. Enemies killed by the skill can be revived. So if you can put the Fenax on a team with any kind of ally attack champion, that's going to drastically spike his damage as well, right? Just triggering extra A1s from the Fenax is going to be great. And so yeah, he easily, comfortably makes it into this list. Another champion that I've seen discussed, which a lot of people will eventually get your hands on if you're playing on PC, because you get that passive income of parry and play points, is going to be good old Morag. Yeah, she's one of the free like parry and play, I guess, reward champions that you grab. for not that many points, to be honest. So as long as you're logging in consistently and getting your daily rewards, you should get a relatively quick-ish. And she's just a great option to also bring in to CHIMERA. Speaking of ally attack skills, she would love to be on a team with the Fenax. On a A3, she teams up with 2 random allies to attack a single enemy. The allies during the attack use their default skills, which for Fenax is great. 410 cooldown. Yeah, very, very good for bolstering out your team's damage. On an A2, she attacks all enemies and places the strong version of Strengthen buff on allies for a couple of turns. This is on a 3-turn cooldown, meaning basically 100% uptime on this buff as long as she's nice and quick. And yeah, just a great buff to have. It's going to bolster up your survivability really quite a lot. And then she's just got a double hitter on the A1. Oh yeah, she also counterattacks when hit while under Strengthen as well. So she buffs us up with Strengthen, and anytime the boss swings in, she's just attacking in with this double hitter A1. Just really, really good, man. Gonna pump damage, gonna boost your team's survivability, and again, she has special synergy with champs that have a strong A1 skill as well. So that's good old Morag. Now onto a few Void picks, a couple that I've seen discussed somewhat recently or re-examined. I mean, who the hell was using Ethlyn anywhere, to be honest? But his kit is like pretty good. Not bad. Into CHIMERA, at least, he's got an attack 1 enemy, place a shield buff on this champion, equal to the damage, 10% of the damage dealt. It's fine. A little bit of self-sustain on his A1. Not too bad. On the A2, takes quite a lot of skill bucks, mind you. Oi, oi, oi. Attacks all enemies 2 times. The first hit has a chance of placing block active skills. The second hit has a chance of placing True Fear for 1 turn if enemies are not under block active skills debuff. So both of these are great into CHIMERA clan boss, right? Block active skills is going to find use. True Fear, I think, is against the Ram form. It's particularly good as well. Just multiple tools that you want. And then on his A3, increase crit damage, increase accuracy buff on this champion for 2 turns, and then grant an extra turn. So you don't have to build him out with like a stupid amount of accuracy to get the job done. About half is going to do the trick because he brings the rest of the buffs himself. Yeah. Just pretty good, brings quite a lot to the table. He's not going to pump crazy damage numbers, even though he is an attack champion, but he's going to do a little bit of damage and mostly bring some key utility that you want into the CHIMERA fight. Next up, I mean, we can't do a boss killing video, man, without touching on Whisper a little bit. This gal, as far as Void epics goes, is probably the best boss killer epic champ in a general sense in the entire game. Straight up, her passive has a 10% chance of granting an extra turn whenever this champion lands a crit, increases the damage inflicted on bosses by 20%. Now, she doesn't bring a whole lot of utility to the table, exactly, but just for this passive alone, the extra turns, the increased damage against bosses, and then you consider the rest of her kit, attacks 1 enemy 2 times, grants an extra turn if the target is under decreased defense and weaken debuff, so she's getting extra turns from the A3 as well. She has multiple multi-hitters, things weaken as well on the A1, which I actually forgot all about. So as long as you bring like a decreased defense champion on your team, she's always going to get the extra turn from the A3. So it's actually just a 3-turn cooldown skill when fully booked. On that note, you could even put her in a Relentless set, so she gets a chance to get an extra turn from the Relentless set as well. And then she's just pumping crazy damage numbers, right? That's kind of what Whisper is all about. The fact that she doesn't really bring too much more utility to the table, to be honest, is a little bit sad, but to be honest, I think she's got the damage numbers to sort of back it up. Another champ that if you pull, you're probably going to build anyway, especially in the early game, right? You're definitely going to build out a Genbo if you do happen to pull him. If he ever decides to show face, see, he's a ninja, man. We can't even see him. Oh, the ninja chooses to reveal himself, man. Look at that dude, Genbo gracing us with his presence. Anyways, yeah, Genbo crazy as hell. He brings increased crit rate, increased crit damage buffs on himself, then gets himself an extra turn on his A3, which is just lovely. But his skills are honestly pretty good. His damage dealing is, of course, what he is known for. He's a crazy, crazy arena nuker, and you're going to use him in all kinds of wave content with your Shadowkin faction. Yeah, just a fantastic, fantastic champion that I've almost got up to level 60 on my main account, actually. But check this out, man. So his A1 attacks 1 enemy 2 times. Each hit steals any increased attack buffs. Each hit also has a up to 50% chance, fully booked, of stealing 1 random buff. And so little bit of buff control against the boss on a hard-hitting A1 with self-buffs all over the place as well. Not too bad. His A2 attacks all enemies, 100% chance when fully booked of decreasing the duration of all enemy buffs by 1 turn. This effect cannot be resisted on crits, and so a little bit more buff peel and buff removal there as well. So don't feel too bad if you don't have a block buffs debuffer champion against the boss. If you've got a couple of champs, man, like Genbo on the team that can actually just steal enemy buffs or reduce the duration of enemy buffs as well, then you're going to do just grand too. You might need to stack up a couple of champs like this to really keep the boss's buffs under control. But Genbo the Dishonored, like I say, you're building him anyway, and in lieu of a better option, why the hell not give him a run out into Chimera if you're kind of strapped for choices, man? He could be a pretty good shout. Now, I can't help myself, man, but we get a little bit silly here, dude. But, dude, I know this is a rare champion with a good old Candleguard, but when actually scouting through the rares a little bit for the beginning of this video and just taking a little peek around, I did notice that Candleguard, who I have 6-star awakened on this account and did, you know, frankly, one of my favorite videos I've ever uploaded on this channel, like a week or so ago, showcasing what she can do when fully built out in live arena and stuff. It was absolutely ridiculous and hilarious. But on a A1, she attacks one enemy, has a chance of removing a random buff, has a chance of stealing a random buff instead if the target has 3 or more buffs. It's a 60% land rate, man. Like, she's quite easy to build out. She brings weaken as well on the A2. Increased crit rate, attacks all enemies. Her damage isn't going to be that great. I'm memeing it up a little bit, man, by including her in this video, man, but I can't help myself. I love this champion, dude. Candleguard and Ruella. Dude, those two are my gals, man. Love these two champs, but there you go. And finally, if you are really, really on a shoestring budget and you just want to use one of your free epic champions that you get, and, you know, maybe you're a really inactive player and you're completely free to play and you just don't have very good options for damage dealers on your account, you will get Dark Elhain as your login reward. I think it's after 120 days of just logging into raid, and she does at least bring a somewhat reliable land rate, strong version, decreased speed on our A2. Do I actually recommend that you go ahead and use your Dark Elhain in Chimera? Probably not. It's too low of a land rate, decreased speed, and she has very, very low base defense stats, and so she's going to be quite tough to keep alive, but hey, man, if you're on a shoestring, you know what, man? Part of the fun of raid, actually, let's spin this into a positive. Part of the fun of raid is just trying to make what champions you've got, which sometimes isn't a lot, work as best you can, right? It's trying to really squeeze as much value as you possibly can out of your champion roster and sort of solve the puzzle of clearing content with not a whole lot to work with, you know? Anyways, man, now we'll throw it on over to you guys. What champions did I miss, man? Are you using some crazy champ that's finding you a hell of a lot of value that not a lot of people are talking about into Chimera? I'd love to hear about it, man. Go ahead and plop it down below in the comments. Who knows? It might even end up informing a future video and all of that. And hey, man, if you're looking to ever create a new raid account, make sure to get it done using my beginner promo link, which as always is down below the top of the video description box, man. You can get your hands on 4 free epic champions starting a new account using that beginner link. And yeah, just get yourself an incredible start on your new or maybe alt raid account. You know what I'm saying? All right. Thanks for watching, guys. Hope you did enjoy this one. And I'm going to catch all of y'all just a tad bit later, man.